What's going on, everybody? It's Bill Bailey with today's Boondoggle on Domain Cleveland Radio. And man, I'm excited about today's interview. As I said, it's good to see your face again. Speaking with Jeremy Spencer from the band Psychosexual. What's going on, man?
Well, I'm out here in Vegas, getting ready to go to the studio here in a few minutes, but just doing this interview here, and I'm glad to be a part of it. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. And as we were saying before we went on, missing festivals like Rock on the Range and all that this year. It's where I met you a few years back with your previous band, Five Finger Death Punch. But wanted to, usually when I have an artist on for the first time on my show, I like to get a little bit of a background and then we bring up to current events and stuff. So originally, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Well, I remember getting a Kiss record at 6 years old, and of course I wanted to be in Kiss, but my mom said that I came to her actually really concerned, and I was crying, and I was like, Mom, I don't know if I want to be a rock star or a professional football player. And she's like, well, you have some time to figure that out, honey. It'll work itself out. Don't worry about it. But I was really concerned. I was like 6 years old, but hey, man, I got to at least do the rock part.
Yeah, definitely. And I can relate. Kiss seems to be the gateway for a lot of people. I know that's like one of the first bands that got me into it. You know, seeing the Alive album cover just like drew me in as a kid, and then the rest is history. You know.
It's all you do. You just look at the cover, and then you're so enthralled you can't stop, and then you put on the music, and that's it. It's over.
Then it sucks you in.
Yep.
Now, speaking of getting sucked in, then when did you start actually like you're listening to music? Then when did you actually start picking up an instrument and start playing?
It was right around the time I got the Kiss record. About 6 years old, my grandma got me this Sears drum kit, and it was a terrible piece of crap, and I was terrible, but I didn't care because I just pretended like I was in Kiss. So I tried to play along to the records. It was probably horrific, but I just stuck with it. And then at some point, I actually did learn how to play the drums and did that for many years.
So it was like a step up from pots and pans then, huh?
I never did the pots and pans. Yeah, I got it. I mean, really, a pots and pans probably sound better than that piece of crap that I had, but I loved it. I didn't care. I love that drum kit.
And hats off to your parents for hey, we can tolerate the noise. He's having fun.
Not only them, but the whole neighborhood, because we lived in a house that was like built in the late 1800s or something. So it was thin walls, and we were, I would practice every day, either in the basement or up in my bedroom. And then I would have bands starting to come over and we would jam, and it would just blow the whole neighborhood out of the water. I don't see how they put up with me, but everyone was really cool. So I got really lucky in that regard.
That's great. Like, speaking of which, then you said, you guys were playing like what in your garage and stuff. And then when did you start like playing in actual bands?
Oh, that started about 14. Had just a little local band there, and we played at like school functions, and then I joined a little bit more serious of a metal band, even though it was kind of like a mixture between chaotic thrash with a punk lead singer. So it was kind of a strange blend, but we got to open for Pantera on their Cowboys from Hell tour in Indianapolis. It was like their last show of the tour. So we got to open for them, which was a huge highlight of my life at that point, for sure.
Awesome. So what was like your first band that you used to play school functions with? What was the name of that band?
Well, we were called Anesthesiar.
Anesthesia. And then the one that when you guys opened for Pantera, what was that?
That was called COD, Cornucopia of Death.
Awesome. I like to get the early band names, because then, people look back and say, yeah, that was how old I was and where I was thinking around then.
Somebody just sent me a flyer of that Pantera show, and our band name was misspelled, but I still don't care. So it says Pantera, some other band, and then Cornucopia of Death. It's really cool.
Awesome, awesome. Put that in the scrapbook, huh?
For sure.
So then when about did you go on to like co-found Five Finger Death Punch?
That was around 2005. I remember going to musicconnection.com and typing in shredding double bass drummer or something like that. Cause, and then Zoltan's ad came up that he was looking for a drummer. So he and I started talking and sending recordings back and forth. And then we started getting into a rehearsal room together and fine tuning the ideas and stuff. And then we started making the record before we even had the rest of the band. It was just, you know, Zoltan and myself.
Oh, okay. And then how did it go? Like picking up everybody else, same thing, an ad and the
Yeah, Zoltan found the rest of the guys, and he had known Ivan from when Ivan was in Motor Grader. And he was telling me about this guy. This guy is the real deal, man. We got to get him down here. But it just seemed like we could never get him to come to Vegas, man. I was starting to lose patience. Like, what's with this guy, man? Let's just get somebody else, whatever. But then when he finally got there, I was like, wow, man, this dude's really can sing. He was awesome. So we decided that we were not going to let him go back home to Denver until he finished the record. So he wrote and recorded the whole thing. We basically held him hostage. And then he could go back home to Denver. But we were like, we don't know if he'll come back or when it's going to happen. Let's just strike while the iron's hot and get the whole thing done. So we did. And then we started playing a couple shows. I think we played 6 shows, and then we got a record deal. It was really fast.
sweet, sweet. And then who came up with the name for Five Finger Death Punch?
That was Zoltan. He was a big fan of the martial arts movies, Kill Bill and that stuff. So I think it came from the Kill Bill movie.
Okay, cool. So, you know, did a number of years with Five Finger Death Punch. You were one of the co-founders. Was it hard to leave that something that you helped create and start this new band, or was it a hard transition, or it was just time?
No, it felt right to me. I mean, my body was kind of breaking down. I had back problems, and I wasn't performing at a level that I felt I needed to in order to be satisfied and to give the fans what I felt they deserve. So I was like, it's like when athletes reach a certain point and they just know their body's not working. So I knew undeniably it was time and it had run its course, and I needed to stop and get that addressed and just, you know, get out of that bubble and that whole train. It was a runaway train, man. It was really a big business, and it was amazing. I got to experience a lot of great stuff, but you know, after a while doing anything, you burn out, even if it's amazing the whole time. And certainly it's not, being the music business. You go through all kinds of ups and downs, but for the most part, it was great. And I wouldn't change any of it because it helped get me to where I am now. And I'm very happy, and things are very positive.
That's great. Yeah, people, you know, they don't consider like the wear and tear that especially, you know, a drummer, man. I mean, how much your body's going through to perform night in and night out up there, you know? So
Yeah, and we started older. We weren't 22 when we started. I mean, I was 34 when we got signed. So my body was already, it had taken a beating and just from natural life.
yeah. And I mean, because of all that experience and that journey, you're now also a New York Times best-selling author. Congratulations.
Yeah,
What was it putting that together?
it just started as like a therapeutic exercise. Whenever I got out of rehab, I needed a new place to put my energy, and I just started writing about my life from my earliest memories on. And then a lot of fun stories started coming from it, and some sad stories, but it was just an interesting read. So management was like, this is pretty good, man. We could probably do something with this. And they ended up getting me a book deal. And my dad kind of did all the editing for me because he knew my voice really well and knew how to make it to where I wouldn't be completely ostracized by everyone. So he edited it and cleaned it up pretty nice. And it just came out this one week and ended up charting at number 10 on the New York Times celebrities bestsellers list. So I just thought it was like a hoot because I'm not an author. I was in a band that was popular, and it came out on a week where nothing else was really out, and when it sold enough copies to land on the chart. So now I'm forever a New York Times best-selling author, which is hilarious.
Yeah, well, I mean, like you mentioned, you just got out of rehab and you were, decided to start writing. I know, like I myself, I'm in recovery. I just celebrated 12 years of sobriety, and a lot of times they tell you like journaling is really good. It was a good for mindfulness and just to get your feelings and stuff out. So you almost like took it to a whole new level and had a whole book come from basically journaling.
Yeah. And, I never really intended it to be some big thing. It just kind of turned into something that I wasn't anticipating happening. But it turned out good. And a lot of people have reached out to me and said it really helped them on their journey and trying and dealing with recovery and struggling with addiction and trying to, hang in there while making it in a band and all that stuff. So that's always nice to hear whenever somebody says it affects them positively,
Yeah, well, I mean, if being vulnerable and transparent and authentic like that, I think that's, I know I've experienced that with my own recovery. That's when most of my healing starts. So, I'm sure just it was just as good for you as it has been for helping all these other people, which is the bonus.
Yeah, the good part for me was doing it daily, just writing. I would write about 1,000 words a day. And then, that starts adding up, and it took a while to get put together. Like the first draft took about 6 months. And then once the book company gets a hold of it, then they have all these ideas and you got to redo all kinds of stuff. But, it turned out pretty good. I think it's a short, fast little read. And now I just released the audio version of it where I narrate the whole thing. So that's available. It just came out a couple months ago.
Oh, sweet. I'll have to check that one out. So bringing us up to current then, let's talk about, now you're the devil daddy and for Psychosexual. What's the transition been like for you from drums to now vocals and frontman?
Well, I'd always been writing and recording songs in my little home studio, and I would sing on them. And at first, it was a different flavor. It was more like synth pop, almost like new wave from the 80s, Gary Newman, Devo, Bowie kind of stuff. But I missed heavier music, darker music in a band setting. So I was like, I want to put together something and try this, and it seemed like it was a fun idea, but I was like, what's the singer going to look like? Cause I don't want to just stand up there as myself. Black jeans, black t-shirt, rocker guy. I mean, we've seen it a trillion times. I wanted to do something that's theatrical and fun because it started with Kiss, and then it was Alice Cooper, and it was King Diamond and Rob Zombie, Ghost. So I was like, I've never seen a devil frontman ever. So I'll be the devil. And it just started that way. And then it was like developing this makeup and the look and getting it right. It took a long time to kind of get it figured out. And I remember the first time applying it, it took about 6 hours. And I was like, I can't do this every day. It's like Jim Carrey and the Grinch, getting into that suit every day. I can't do it. So now we learned how to cut corners and get it down to a little over an hour, which is definitely long enough, but that's doable. So the only difference really is, I have a mic in my hand now and I'm singing, but I've been on huge stages and huge festivals and sold out arenas. So, I'm 6 to 10 feet farther in front of where I was, when I was playing drums on the stage. So I guess we'll see how it goes when we properly tour, but we did a live stream show, and which was a little odd. You'd finish the song and then you'd hear like 4 crew guys go, yay, whatever. But you have to act like you're in an arena rocking the world because it's on the internet. So that was a little strange, and that was our first show. But you know, who knows if we'll do more of those or not, but we're just trying to get out and tour like every other band. Really, that's basically, we're waiting on the green light for that.
Yeah, and those crew guys wanted to get paid, so they better be clapping, right?
Yeah, well, for sure they got paid that day, but it's we're in talks to do some one-off shows. I don't know when a proper tour will happen. If it doesn't happen this year, definitely next year for sure. So in the meantime, we're writing and recording daily. We're getting a lot of material done, so it's a positive. Everything's good.
Yeah, and then but to get that live audience and get their feedback, definitely like you and all just about everybody I've talked to, all the musicians I know are just craving to get back to that again.
For sure, yeah. I mean, it's for me. I haven't played for a crowd since 2018, and that was when I was still drumming. So this is going to be a different experience, but I'm very much looking forward to it, and hopefully we can just make a crazy show that everyone wants to see and leaves there with a good feeling, going, "Dude, you got to go check that out. That was crazy," So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, definitely. I can't wait to check it out. So hopefully you guys will come through Cleveland when it happens.
I would imagine we're going to go any place that'll have us. That's, we have to go out there and earn our stripes like any new band. And so whatever it takes to get there, we'll do it.
Nice. Now, I speaking of recording, I was reading that you and Jason hooked back up, for lack of a better word, for the some recording. What was that like, getting back with Jason?
Oh, it's great. I mean, we've been friends for over 25 years. So I just was like, hey, man, can you put a guitar solo or two on these cover songs? And he was like, sure, no problem. It was real fast and turned out really good. I'll release that stuff again at some point, but right now it's just like I'm focusing on Devil from Hell and the upcoming album, which is May 14th. But working with Jason's always great. I mean, we've been really good friends for years, so it was just like old times. I mean, we've worked together so much. It's a good fit.
Yeah, and you said you guys are neighbors too.
Yeah. We're like 7 minutes from each other.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's easy to pin them down and get them to play some
oh yeah,
solos for you.
Yeah. I mean, he's had me over to jam over there. He's got a studio, so I would go over occasionally too and help him with some stuff. But he's got his own thing going, and I'm looking forward to hearing it when it's time. And I think everyone will be supportive and dig whatever he's doing. He's really talented, so it's going to be cool.
Awesome. So yeah, like you were saying, new album's out May 14th. It's called The Unholy Hymns for the Children. Is there a main theme behind this album that you're hoping to put out?
It's just kind of dark fantasy. It's all over the map, but it's a creepy record. It's fun. It runs the gamut from heavy to dark goth to pop. Like it's kind of all over the map, but it's definitely not all 10 or 11 songs that sound the same like Devil from Hell. It's if you like that, there's other stuff like it on the record, but it's not all like that. It's kind of, a roller coaster ride of different sounds.
Nice. And speaking of Devil from Hell, I mean, I was watching the video and it looks like you guys like to have a lot of fun with your videos and stuff. You want any stories behind putting that one together?
It was great, man. The bar fight scene was really intense. Those guys they had to do multiple takes, and they do that stuff every day for their life. I don't see how they're not completely broken, but they did a great job. And we always have fun on music videos. It's, you get to dress up and be the character and just be as crazy as you want. It's a lot of fun.
So do you feel like do you actually feel like you're becoming a different person when you put that on? Is it freeing? Is it able to just everything goes?
Yeah, I think you can get away with more when it's character based because it's fantasy. You can just draw it up any way you want, more so than if you're just a normal person. But it's just an extension of my warped humor, and it's I didn't have to stray that far. I just maybe look different. That's it.
So not just like, your musical influences, but would you say like theatrical influences, like you're big like horror movie fan and stuff like that?
Oh, huge. Yeah, I love horror movies, all types from classic to cheesy, horrible B horror movies. I have a huge collection, and I've always been into it ever since I was a kid. So, I doubt that'll ever change. I'll probably always be a kid, even though I feel like I'm 75 years old some days.
Well, as long as we stay young mentally and hopefully the body will try and keep up, right?
Trying, yeah, definitely trying.
And then, yeah. And speaking of videos, I checked out "Let the Sin Begin." That was a catchy one too. Is that a lot of fun to do?
Oh yeah, I mean, there was a lot of people involved on that one. I think I actually got COVID after that one. That that was like last year. It was the first video that we had shot. It's been pulled down since we relaunched the band with this new music, but that was a crazy video. It was a lot of fun to shoot it.
So you recovered from COVID as well, huh?
I recovered, and now I've been vaccinated too, so I'm good.
Yeah, I had it back in December, man. It was wasn't fun.
No, it's definitely, you can't even really begin to describe. It's so intense, man. I don't wish it upon anyone. It's a terrible thing. It really knocks the crap out of you.
Yeah, that's for sure. So speaking of the all the creativity and inspiration with this project, like with all your projects, what's the creative process usually like for you?
It's usually pretty fast. An idea will come to me, and then I'll document it and move on. I never really try to overthink it or overwork something. I mean, if it takes whatever the time it takes, but usually it's pretty fast. I like to work fast, and I like to complete it. I don't like to let stuff linger around unfinished. It's just not my style. So who knows where the idea will strike me. Sometimes I'm sitting in my hot tub, or sometimes I'll just be laying in bed and I'll have to like fling the covers off and get a recorder and document my idea into it. And so whenever it's time to do something with it later, then I have it documented.
Yeah, I can relate to that, man. We're past the age of, I'll remember in the morning. No, it's like write it down immediately. I got like a dry erase board over my calendar, so I know like what I have to do, every day of the week.
That's smart. That's what you got to do it, man. Otherwise they'll evaporate and they're gone forever.
Well, one thing that I've always loved about you guys, especially when you were with Five Finger Death Punch, is how much you guys gave back to the military and stuff. And I'm a veteran, and so during my time mobilized, I mean, it was just it was great to know that we had support from bands like you guys, but also speaking of that, having to have like we were just talking about with my dry erase board, I was so used to always having like a schedule and like, everything. I'm doing this at this time. I'm doing that at this time, and then you come home and it's almost like chaos trying to wrap your brain around trying to be, normal life. Like, okay, what type of cereal did I like again? I don't, you got to like relearn things. So, that's, some of the habits I had to definitely carry on for me. But, I remember I was going to school, and I did a project for I was in social work, and a lot of people were doing plant programs for all kinds of different, whatever their passion was that they were trying to bring attention to. And of course, my passion was helping out the veteran population with PTSD and stuff like that. So I was able to play your guys's video, Wrong Side of Heaven, and stuff. And it was like, it was so well done. It was like educational, and like there wasn't like a dry eye in the house with my classmates, because a lot of them had no idea like what veterans struggle with. So I'm grateful that you guys did that. Not to backtrack, but all of a sudden my mind started going when I started talking about scheduling, and figure I better throw that out there.
No, thanks. We appreciate it. It was definitely well received, and it seemed to help a lot of people, and that's always a good feeling. But we always tried to give back as much as we could. We went to Iraq a couple times and performed for the troops, and that was really those were awesome experiences. They're life-changing stuff that you'll never forget. So I'm really grateful that that got to happen. And who knows what'll happen? Maybe we can do some more of that in Psychosexual. We'll see. We first and foremost, we need to be able to get out there and do it something.
Yeah,
other than just record,
For sure. So, Jeremy, I want to ask you some of the questions that I normally ask guests when I have them on here. Who are your top 3 musical artists?
I would say, well, Prince, Bowie, and that's tough, man. Ozzy.
Awesome. Yeah, it's always the third one that, gets everybody, because it's like, well, I don't want to leave this one out, but yeah. And then is there like a particular song that you feel has inspired you in life? Like whenever you're just, drained or whatever, going through a rough patch, you can always throw this tune on and it's your go-to. It picks you up and gets you pumped for the day.
I would put on a Pantera record in its entirety more so than one song. That's probably how, if I wanted to get pumped up, you can throw on any Pantera record and that gets me pumped up. I really dig that band a lot.
Awesome. And then is there a particular class that you feel should be mandatory for kids to have before they graduate high school?
Definitely business classes would be smart for people, especially for musicians that are planning on getting into the music business. I think that a lot of musicians they're not prepared for what's coming their way, especially once they get into a serious part of the business where there's big dollars at stake.
And then do you have like a particular morning ritual or routine that you try and do every day before, just to get your day going and try and have the best day possible?
It's usually coffee and walking my dog. That's my mornings. And then it starts with emails and schedules of interviews. And then I go to the studio.
Got it. And then who is like one of the bands that you feel like you've had the most fun with when you're on the road?
Well, let's see. We toured with Korn several times. Disturbed, it was pretty cool. I can't think of a band that we didn't have fun with, really. I mean, there were times whenever some of us had stopped partying, so then we would just kind of be tucked away from all the action and stay on the bus or in the dressing room. But I always had a good time. There was never bad times.
Gotcha. And then who's 3 people who've inspired you or you can credit for making you the person you are today?
Well, definitely my mom and dad, I would have to say, because they were so supportive and let me play drums in the house, and they just supported every decision I ever made. And then I don't know about that third one. That's tough. I really don't know if I can name a third. Probably just my parents.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, to put up with that Sears drum kit, man, they're saints.
Oh, for sure. And then it graduated to bigger and bigger drum kits and more obnoxious cymbals, and so they went through it, man. They were very cool.
That's awesome. And then are there any causes or organizations that you support and want to encourage others to check out?
Well, I was sworn in as a reserve police officer, so I'm always about helping out any time I can back home with those guys. So, but certainly the military and cops and military for sure.
Awesome. And then I mean, I guess you kind of already said the answer, but favorite toy as a child?
It was definitely the drum kit, but trying to think of what would be second. You know what? Remember those Nerf basketball goals that you would hang on the door and you could dunk the basketball? And
Yeah.
that was, I love doing that too. I used lots of scars on my wrist from ripping the crap out of it, pretending I was like Dr. J or somebody, you know?
Yeah. And then you've already mentioned, our military and stuff, but do you have any message that you have for everybody that's currently overseas?
Well, I definitely grew to appreciate what they do more and more by seeing it firsthand. So I definitely want to say thanks and wish everyone, the best and be safe over there and we appreciate everything you do because I know it's tough.
Awesome. Thanks, man. And then, so the new album's out May 14th. If people are, hearing about this project for the first time, want to check you out, want to support you, where would you send them?
Go to psychosexualmusic.com. It has all of our social links and links for merch and stuff like that.
Great. All right. Well, hey, Jeremy, it's been awesome seeing your face again and getting a chance to talk with you. Appreciate you taking the time. If I could ask you for one last favor before you go, you mind cutting a promo ID for the show?
Yeah, no problem. What do you want me to say?
Just introduce yourself. You're listening to today's Boondoggle.
Okay. Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Jeremy Spencer, aka Devil Daddy from Psychosexual, and you're listening to today's Boondoggle.
Awesome, man. Thanks a lot, Jeremy. I really appreciate you taking the time, and looking forward to seeing you guys come through Cleveland, man, when everything's able to open back up.
Thanks, man. We can't wait to get there. That'll be awesome.
All right, man. Take care.
Okay, you too. Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.